All right, you guys, we'll go ahead and get started. Start off by saying Shabbat Shalom. All praises to the Most High, Ahaya. Triple A, Ahaya Shah Ahaya. Hope everybody's having an Irab Taiwab. I know it's raining here in Arizona. Been raining for a couple hours, so hopefully everybody's been safe. Just me, myself, today I've seen 6 accidents on the freeway. A lot of delays, so I hope everybody had a good commute home from work and just for the rest of the night just be safe. All right. Sorry for the late arrival. I was running late. I know everybody was online. A few people got on, a few people got off. Got a couple of text messages. Hey, are we on? Anytime if you guys get on and if I'm not on, just if I don't text and say that the lesson's canceled or anything to that nature, just know I'm running late. Okay? Just know I'm running late, and if I'm not right on at 8 o'clock or 8:05 or so, just hold tight. And remember, when you're on, other people are on also. You guys can talk amongst each other and just talk about some news or just talk about whatever, you know, just to kind of help the time go by. All right. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and get started. We won't go into no news since we're already running late. But tonight's lesson will be called "Who Fits the Curses?" So we're going to go over some of these curses that are in the Bible. And the reason why I want to go over this is because a couple days ago, it seems like twice over the last 2 weeks, I've talked to a few people that believe they know so much about the Bible. And when you try to talk to them about who Israel is and everything like that, they got every excuse in the book why Israel is not Israel. Israel could be anybody, or it's this or it's that. And when you try to show people things and they don't want to hear it. So tonight, I wanted to go into some information. Who fits the curses? And now this might be a part 2 lesson because we might not be able to get through all of it because it's a lot of information when you're breaking this information down for people. And I really want people to get an understanding of who the Bible is talking about when it's talking about these curses. So therefore, we might not be able to get through all the precepts tonight, so we have to take our time with it. Okay? So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and get started. We'll start off in Deuteronomy 28:68. So tonight's lesson is called "Who Fits the Curses?" Because there's so many people, like I say, out there that will tell you that the curses fit this group of people or curses fit this group of people, and it's just not true. It's a lie. So tonight we'll break it down. We'll take our time with it and go a little more in depth with it. A lot of people that's been a part of the group for a while now, you know yourself who fits the curses, but hopefully tonight I can give you a little more ammunition to where when you talk to people about it, then you'll be able to guide yourself a little more in the realm to where you can explain it yourself also. Okay? So let's go ahead and start off in Deuteronomy 28:68.
We're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. And it reads, "And the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you."
Okay? Let's go to Exodus 20:2. So it says, "And the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships." All right, let's find out what he means when he speaks of the word Egypt. Exodus 20:2. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 2, and it reads, "I am the Most High, thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage."
So when he speaks of the word Egypt, he's talking about the house of bondage. So go back to Deuteronomy 28:68. So it says, "And the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt again." So I'm going to bring you into bondage again, and this time around with ships. Okay, the first time around you was in bondage, you was under the hands of Pharaoh. But he said, now this time around, I'm going to bring you into bondage again, but this time it will be with ships. So now we're going to break down who was taken into bondage on ships. Because I was talking to this lady the other day, and she says many people that was in slavery was taken into bondage on ships. Yeah, when you look up some information, it does show other people going into bondage, but when you break down the scriptures, who is it talking about? And that's what we're going to do tonight. So we're going to put together the information that the Bible is talking about along with some other information. But it says, and the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, so into bondage again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. So I warned you about this. I warned you that I was going to do this to you. Thou shalt see it no more again. So when that ship takes you into bondage, it's not coming back. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemy for bondmen. Bondmen means servant, and bondwomen means female slave. And no man shall buy you. All right, so it tells you once you go into bondage, so once you become a servant, and once you become a female slave, no one's going to buy you. All right, give them that. So pull out your phones or pull out your computers, go to Google. Give them that. Go slow so they can get it.
We have HTTP semicolon 2 slashes www dot Nairland NAIRALAND, one word, Nairland.com /241597 /first dash British dash slave dash ship dash reach.
One more time. You don't have to go as slow now that everybody got it, just in case somebody missed something. Anybody in here get that? All right, go ahead.
We have HTTP semicolon 2 slashes www Nairland NAIRALAND.com /241597 /first dash British dash slave dash ship dash reach.
So we'll give everybody a second to pull that up. Did y'all get that here in the room? Okay, yeah, so you have it. All right. Anybody, people online, did y'all get that? All right. Maybe people did. And what I'm doing right now, I'm going to, you know how I send out the group text? I'm gonna text it to you guys right now, and then maybe you guys can pull it up. All right, go ahead. Say that again.
Are they comments that people are talking in discussion?
It should be an article. It might have a few comments at the top, but then if you look right under it, there should be a paragraph with an article. Do you see that? All right, I didn't put the title in.
The first British slave ship to reach the records was called the Jesus.
Right, and that's what it should say. So I just texted out to the group like I text you guys in the group text. So you should receive it in a minute if you have not was not able to pick that up. But go ahead, brother.
We're in the first paragraph and it reads, yes, Sir John Hawkins had the dubious distinction of becoming the first slave ship captain to bring Africans to the Americas. Hawkins was a religious gentleman who insisted that his crew serve God daily and love one another. His ship, ironically called the good ship Jesus, left the shores of his native England for Africa in October 1562.
So it says Sir John Hawkins was the first person, the first captain to drive the slave ships to bring Africans to America. And we all know Africans, once you're in this truth, we're not called Africans. But we know the Jews who ran into Africa was labeled the term Africans. But it says John Hawkins, he was the first captain to bring the slaves over to America. And the name of his ship was called the Good Ship Jesus. All right, and this ship came from the shores of England. That's what we just read. Go ahead.
When the last sentence of the paragraph says, he arrived at Sierra Leone, and in a short time he had 300 blacks in his possession. Hawkins claimed to have acquired them partly by sword and partly by other means.
So he says Hawkins claimed these 300 blacks by sword, all right, by war. He took them down, and then by other means. I sent that article out. Did y'all get that?
And I already have it.
Okay. Read through this.
It says, the good ship Jesus, the beginning of the British slave trade. The good ship Jesus. What has come to be referred as to the good ship Jesus was in fact the Jesus of Lubeck, a 700-ton ship purchased by King Henry from the Hanseatic League, a merchant alliance between the cities of Hamburg and Lubeck in Germany. 20 years after its purchase, the ship, in disrepair, was lent to Sir John Hawkins by Queen Elizabeth.
So it says this ship that was given to John Hawkins, which was called the Good Ship Jesus. This was the name of the ship that transported the slaves to America. And it says this ship came from the shores of England, and it was lent to John Hawkins by Queen Elizabeth. So Queen Elizabeth gave John Hawkins the ship to bring the slaves over. All right, so this is, so people say, well, Queen Elizabeth, you see her nowadays, there was Queen Elizabeth 1, 2, I don't know which one we're on right now. Is it the third one? Is it the third? The Queen Elizabeth, Queen of England? Okay. All right, but this is Queen Elizabeth 1.
Yeah.
Right here. Queen Elizabeth 1 is the person that gave John Hawkins this ship during the slave trade to be able to transport the slaves over here to America. So this is how you know the bloodline of Queen Elizabeth and these people is real faulty. People say, well, how did that family become the royal family? All right. How did they get all the riches? How did they get everything that they have? Okay, and this is how. During the slave trade, they made tons and tons of money and became very famous off of that. Go ahead.
When the third paragraph says, Hawkins, a cousin of Sir Francis Drake, was granted permission from Queen Elizabeth for his first voyage in 1562. He was allowed to carry Africans to the Americas with their own free consent, and he agreed to this condition. Hawkins had a reputation for being a religious man who required his crew to serve God daily and to love one another. Sir Francis Drake accompanied Hawkins on this voyage and subsequent others. Drake was himself devoutly religious. Services were held on board twice a day.
So it says that Sir Francis Drake, all right, the cousin, Hawkins, a cousin of Sir Francis Drake, it says these guys was devoted to their religion, and they did services on board twice a day. What's the name of the ship? Good Jesus. So they was serving who? Jesus on this ship. And who was on the ships? Slaves. Okay? So this is where the conditioning started. This is where the conditioning of our people started when they got this religion pushed on them. Okay? As they were being brought over as slaves, twice a day, this religion was getting pumped in them. Read the rest. John Hawkins.
It says, John Hawkins' coat of arms, a bound slave adorns. John Hawkins' coat of arms, off the coast of Africa near Sierra Leone. Hawkins captured 300 to 500 slaves, mostly by plundering Portuguese ships, but also through violence and subterfuge, promising Africans free land and riches in the New World.
So this is how they were getting the Africans on board, with the so-called Africans. This is how they were getting the slaves on board. You remember it said he took some down by sword and then some by other means. And the other means was they was tricking these slaves to get on ship and say, hey, we're going to go to the New World and we're going to give you land and riches to start over. So basically lying to these people to get on board. And when these people got on board, they just living freely. They don't think nothing's wrong. A lot on some of these ships. Now we know some of these ships was straight bondage. That we do know. We know it was straight cruelty. But this was the first ship. Okay, but once time went on, and the so-called slaves, when they realized what was happening on those ships, they started fighting. They started resisting and not getting on the ships. And that's why the ships then started becoming straight brutality and cruelty on those ships. You had so many people just jumping off the ships because they realized where they were going. But in these first couple voyages, the slaves were getting on the ships free-handed. Free consent, like, hey, we're going to a new world. Yes, they're going to give us land, they're going to give us money to survive. And at the same time, they was teaching them this religion. They told you twice a day they was on there teaching this religion, which was the good Jesus ship. All right, so you see where it's coming from? When you start putting it all together, it makes sense. Finish that out.
It says, he sold most of the slaves in what is now known as the Dominican Republic. He returned home with a profit and ships laden with ivory, hides, and sugar. Thus began the British slave trade. On his return to England, Queen Elizabeth Livy assailed Hawkins, charging that his endeavor was detestable and would call down vengeance from heaven upon the undertakers. When Elizabeth became fully aware, however, of the profits to be made, she joined in partnership with Hawkins and provided him with the Jesus of Lebec, aka the good ship Jesus.
So this ship was called Jesus of Lebec, the good ship Jesus. And it shows you right here when Queen Elizabeth realized what he was doing, she got in on the partnership and started making money off of it. And this is where the money and the royalties come when it comes to the bloodline of Queen Elizabeth. What's Queen Elizabeth? Harry, is it Harry in it? What's it? Harry, what's their names? The royal family? Harry, William, all of them, aren't they? Queen Elizabeth is what, their grandmother, right? This is where the royal Prince Harry and Prince William and these guys, they always on TV and stuff. Like Prince William just had his second baby and they make a big thing about it. You know what I'm saying? You like, how did these people become princes and stuff like that? Well, Queen Elizabeth is their grandmother, and through the bloodline of the first Queen Elizabeth, this is where the royalties came from, and it's just we're seeing it in our generation that it just trickled down, and these people still have the royal state of this British slave trade. The mother was Princess Diana, right? That died. It's been a while now. All right, it's been a while now, but she died. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead, Ak. We can't hear you.
No, I was just saying, I was agreeing with you. That was saying that was her.
Yeah.
She died about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, but maybe 10. It's been a while now. Are you in high school?
Yeah.
It's been that long that she died?
Yeah, it's been longer than that.
Wow.
A long time.
Yeah, but this is where the royalty came from. If you ever ask yourself a question, how did these people become who they became? It started off this British slave trade, okay? And let's see how it started according to the Bible. Let's go to Psalms 83:1. So this is what Psalms 83:1 is talking about. Okay, so now the story we just read will relate it to what the scriptures say. All right, dealing with Queen Elizabeth and Hawkins. And remember, the key thing tonight is that ship was called Jesus of Lubeck, the good ship Jesus. So this is where that Jesus and that Christian religion came from, that's so strong on our people here today in America. All right, because this is what they learned twice a day. You remember it says they was devoted to it. All right, go ahead.
We're in the book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 1, and it reads, a song or song of asphalt. Keep not thou silence, O Most High. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Ahai. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult. They that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones.
So that was the crafty counsel. They took crafty counsel against thy people. All right, tricking these people to get on that slave ship. And those first couple of ships, it tells you right here that the slaves got on those ships willingly. They got on there saying, hey, this is what we wanted to do. We're going to the new world where they're going to give us land and riches to start over. So they took crafty counsel against our people and tricked our people into coming over into this land. And once they got on the ship, they took crafty counsel and taught them this religion. And then once they got over here, they sold them into slavery. So that's why when you read that article, we just read Queen Elizabeth got upset with Hawkins at first because she didn't realize Hawkins was going to be doing that. And when she found out that Hawkins was actually taking them over and selling them into slavery, she's like, hold on, I need to get my hand in this pot then. You ain't going to just be taking them over there making all that money, jewels and ivory and everything, and coming back living fat. Read the rest. Verse 4.
We're in verse 4, and it reads, they have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
So consulted together with one consent, that's the partnership that we just spoken of. They came together with one consent, and they came and became partners as one and said, this is what we're going to do. Verse 6.
Verse 6. The tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites, of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gebal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, Assur also is joined with them. They have hoping the children of Lot, Salah.
So I tell you, these are all the people who came against Israel. All right, it was groups and groups of people. Okay, but what we're reading tonight is the main people who put together the slave trade, the British slave trade, and the people that was behind the first couple of voyages of bringing the slaves over here to America. Okay, and Queen Elizabeth, all right, which is an Edomite, she was right there and was the head honcho behind it all. All right, let's go back to that article that we was reading. Let's finish out the article. Go back to Google. Go back to your article. Let's finish out the last couple of paragraphs. Go ahead. Yep.
We're back in the article and it reads, a later slaving expedition in 1567 consisting of 5 ships and the Jesus of Lubeck.
Now it's grown. It's not just the Jesus of Lubeck. Now you have other ships. That's now the British slave trade is so big. You got many ships now making this move. All right, almost like what we were talking about the other night. Okay, with herbs and weed. Now weed is a GMO. They made their first GMO plant for weed in April. Why would the pharmacies do that? So they can grow. Now that they see it's a market to grow and make money, we need multiple plants now. And how do we get multiple plants? GMO, genetically modifying. All right, so same thing we're here. Once they seen how big and lucrative this business was, now instead of just having the Jesus of Lubeck, we're going to have many ships. Go ahead.
It says, we're going to start in the beginning. It says, a later slaving expedition in 1567 consisting of 5 ships and the Jesus of Lubeck met with resistance from the Spaniards at St. Juan de Ulloa in Mexico. Since the slave trade it was illegal, Spanish colonists usually required a charade of force from British ships, after which they would buy slaves at a discount. This time, however, the Spanish attacked the British ships and the Jesus of Lubeck. Cumbersome and difficult to maneuver, was sunk and the crew slaughtered. Hawkins escaped with Drake on a smaller ship.
So this is what happened to the ship of Jesus of Lubeck. It was sunk due to the Spanish attacking the British ships. All right, so this is why you don't hear too much about this ship. When you hear about the slave ships, the slaves being brought over to America, they never told you that ship was called the Jesus of Lubeck. Why? Because if you find that out, then you'll put 2 and 2 together and be like, well, dang, the slave masters and everybody else that was in charge was following after Jesus. So how can the so-called slaves then be under this Jesus God? So you'll start putting things together. Finish out the last paragraph.
It says, when the last paragraph says, Hawkins, his piratic ambitions dashed, returned to England, and remained there in the service of the Queen. He gained distinction for his pivotal role in defeating a Spanish armada and was knighted in 1588.
So it lets you know right here that Queen Elizabeth, she was the one. She was the lady. She was the head honcho. Okay? Everything was done back in that time through the British slave trade under her. Okay? Let's go to Deuteronomy 28:1. So now when we read Deuteronomy 28:68, and we're talking about going back into bondage in ships, now we broke down ships and who was brought into bondage, because right there what we just read was your main, that was your slave trade right there. That's who was brought into bondage on ships right there. Okay, those people that we just read about in this story right here. All right, now we're going to break down who fits, because so many people, when you read them, Deuteronomy 28:68, they were like, well, that could have been anybody. Ignorance. People like to bring ignorance into the matter. So now tonight we're going to break down. Okay, then we're going to break down what Deuteronomy 28 says. And after tonight, we'll ask the question then: who fits these curses? That's why tonight's lesson is called Who Fits the Curses? Okay? Deuteronomy 28:1.
We're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1, and it reads, And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Most High thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Okay, so the Most High says, if you hearken diligently unto my voice and observe all my commandments, then I will set you on high above all the nations on the earth. So he says, if you listen to me and follow my commandments, then I'm going to put you on high. Okay? But we all know that didn't happen. Verse 2.
Verse 2. And all these blessings shall come on thee, and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy power. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Most High shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way, and flee before thee 7 ways. For the Most High shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouse, and in all that thou settest thine hand unto. And he shall bless thee in the land which the Most High thy power giveth thee. The Most High shall establish thee in holy people unto himself, as he has sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Most High thy power, and walk in his ways. And all people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Most High, and they shall be afraid of thee, and the Most High shall make thee plenteous in goods, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, and in the land which the Most High sware unto thy fathers to give thee. The Most High shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven, to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. And the Most High shall make thee the head, and not the tail. And thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath, if that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Most High thy power, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them.
Okay, so the Most High says, listen, if you follow me and you hearken unto me, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to bless you all the way throughout. Okay? But the Most High, when he brought us from under the hand of Pharaoh, all right, out of bondage, he gave us the land. He blessed us. He blessed us with a lot. And just told us all we had to do was just follow his commandments and his laws. But we know once we was under the hand of Moses, people started fighting with Moses, going against what Moses was bringing. People got very hard-headed. People started going against the laws. No one was listening. So after a while, the Most High, he kept bringing in different people to try to keep Israel above water. And it just wasn't working. He brought in the judges. Wasn't working. Brought in Samuel. Wasn't working. Okay? Brought in David. Wasn't working. So after a while, the Most High says, well, I'm going to put you guys back in bondage again. And this time the bondage is going to be so hard because you're not even going to be in your own land anymore. You're going to be elsewhere to where you won't even remember who you was. All right? That's hardcore bondage. Let's go to Jeremiah 17:4. He says, I'm going to put you in bondage to where you don't even remember who you are, let alone that you were the true people. And this is the day we live in right now, is to where our people, they don't have a clue who they are. So that's why when you speak of Israel, so many people would rather argue with you because they think they're African Americans. They think they're everything else but Israel. Read Jeremiah 17:4.
We're in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 4, and it reads, and that even thyself shall discontinue from thine inheritance that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger which shall burn forever.
So the Most High says you have kindled a fire in my anger because you have not listened. So now I'm going to take away your heritage. You won't even know that you're Israel, who I'm talking to in this Bible. And I will cause you to serve the enemies in a land that you know nothing about. And like I say, he took us from under the hand of Pharaoh, gave us rest, put us at ease. And all we had to do was just follow him. And we did. Go to Nehemiah 9:27. He gave us an opportunity to be at ease. But since we didn't take advantage of that opportunity, he says, I gotta put y'all back in bondage. I gotta do evil to y'all again. Because evil was already done to us when we was under the hand of Pharaoh. Then he took us out. He's like, y'all still didn't learn your lesson, I gotta put y'all back in it again. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Nehemiah, chapter 9, verse 27, and it reads, therefore thou deliverest them into the hand of their enemy, who vexed them. And in the time of their trouble, when they cried unto thee, thou heardest them from heaven. And according to thy manifold mercies, thou gavest them saviors, who saved them out of the hand of their enemies.
So he says, I delivered you into the hand of thy enemies, vexed you, and then in the time of thy trouble, when y'all cried out to me, I heard y'all. I sent Moses to bring y'all out. I heard y'all when y'all was in bondage. And I brought Moses in to bring y'all out through the spirit of Ruach. He came in and delivered you guys out of the hand of Pharaoh. Verse 28.
Verse 28. But after they had rest, they did evil again before thee.
So after I gave y'all rest, split the Red Sea, brought y'all through it, devoured the enemy, gave y'all the commandments and the laws, y'all didn't want them, gave y'all rest, and then y'all did evil again before thee. Go ahead.
Therefore, lettest thou them in the hand of their enemies, so that they had the dominion over them. Yet when they returned and cried unto thee, thou heardest them from heaven, and many times didst thou deliver them according to thy mercy.
So now that we're back in bondage, you guys, all we have to do is continue to pray to the Most High, and he will deliver us back up out of this. You have to understand where we're at right now. We're in bondage again because we was not following the Most High. So he says, you did evil again to me, to where I had to put you back in the hands of your enemies. And this is the time that we're living in. Why? Go back to Deuteronomy 28:15. Let me show you why we're back in this time. Deuteronomy 28:15. Yep.
We're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15, and it reads, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So now we just read the first 14 verses of Deuteronomy 28, where he says, if you listen to me and if you hearken to me, then I will bless thee. Now we're going to get into the part to where it says, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Most High, and if you do not observe all my commandments and statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee. So all the curses that we're about to read some curses. And we're going to see who these curses fit today. And once you realize who these curses are fit today, then you say, okay, well, those are the people he was talking about in Deuteronomy 28:68 on them ships. Break down the word curses.
We have curses. It is H7045. Curses is H7045. And we have Kalala. And it is QALALAH. Kalala. And it is vilification.
Okay, so it says the word curses is vilification. And vilification means to speak ill of. So when somebody speaks ill of you, speaks bad of you, or defame you, or slander, or abuse. Vilification, speak ill of, defame, slander, or abuse. Give them vilified.
We have vilified, and it is defamed, traduced, debased.
So the word curses mean vilification, and then vilified, which is the same word, means defame, traduce, debase. So we're going to take our time with these words. So vilified, defame, traduce, debase. Give them the Webster for traduce.
Coming from the
Go ahead.
so
Yeah.
vilification is VILIFICATION. Vilification.
Okay. Now give them the definition for vilified.
We have vilified, and it is defamed, traduced, debased.
Okay, now give them the Webster for traduce. Like I said, we're going to take our time so everybody can understand what's going on here. He says that all these curses shall come upon you. Traduce.
We have traduced coming from the Webster, and it is misrepresented, calumniated.
Calumniated. So traduce is misrepresented. So misrepresented or calumniated. Alright. Break down the word debase.
We have debased.
So vilified is defamed, traduce. Traduce means misrepresented. So misrepresented. So when you go somewhere, you get misrepresented. Debase. Debase is what?
It is reduced in estimated rank, lowered in estimation, reduced in purity, fineness, quality, or value.
So debase means reduced in estimate rank, lowered in estimation, reduced. So someone that's reduced. So Deuteronomy 28:15 says, if you do not hearken or observe all my commandments to this day, that all these curses shall come upon you. And the word curse, everything that we just broke down, curses mean speak ill of, defame, slander, traduce, debase, misrepresented. Alright? So now we're going to find out who today in this world is fitting those things. Traduce, debase, misrepresented. Who's reduced in estimate rank? So when you rank the people of this world today, who's at the bottom? It's this. Listen, I mean, okay. Everywhere you go, you can tell and see who's represented in the wrong manner. All right, no matter where you go, no matter whatever state you go to, you have a certain group of people who's represented in a bad fashion. You have a certain group of people who has been reduced. Reduced means you're not even like everybody else. You're not like us. You're on a whole nother level, and that level is defamed. Okay? Verse 16.
We're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 16.
Okay, hold on. Let me just mute. Somebody's phone is talking. All right, go ahead.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 16, and it reads, Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
So now we're gonna break down all the curses that we're talking about here. The word curse means reduced. All right, reduced in some type of rank. Cursed shalt thou be in the city. Cursed shalt thou be in the field. So who was cursed in the field? Okay, and when it says cursed in the field, it means you were out working in the field. You didn't get treated right in the field. And not only was you cursed in the field, you had your own field that you couldn't even take care of. All right, so who was cursed in that matter? Let's go to Songs of Solomon, and I want to say it's 1 and 5. Yeah, go to Songs of Solomon 1 and 5. Let's see who was cursed in the field. What people was cursed in the field? Deuteronomy 28:16 said, Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. And then Songs of Solomon 1 and 5, go ahead.
We're in the book of Songs of Solomon. We're in chapter 1, verse 5, and it reads, I am black.
I am an African American.
I am black.
Okay, it says I am black. You will never see the word African American. Go ahead.
But come, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon.
So Solomon was letting you know right here, he is black. Okay, and what does Solomon have to say? Go ahead.
Verse 6. Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun had looked upon me, and my mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard have I not kept.
So Solomon says, my mother's children, which is my brothers, sisters, they were angry with me. And they made me the keeper of the vineyards, which is the fields. But my own field, my own vineyards, have I not kept. I can't even keep up with my own land and my own farmland and my own cattle because they got me taking care of theirs. Okay? And who was his brothers and sisters? Edomites. Okay? Just Queen Elizabeth and her crew. Alright? So he says, I had to keep up on their vineyards, their field, and mine, I got weeds growing 10 feet tall in mine because I can't keep up with mine. Because I'm too busy taking care of theirs. Go back to Deuteronomy 28:16. So that's what it means when it says, Cursed shalt thou be in the field. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 16, and it reads, Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shalt thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, and the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out.
So wherever you come in, wherever you go, you're going to be cursed. What does the word curse mean? Misrepresented. Reduced in rank. So it says wherever you go, so cursed shalt thou be when you come in. So wherever you go, you're going to be reduced in rank, misrepresented, and wherever you come out of, you're going to be misrepresented. Okay? That's like me right now in Arizona. When I go into certain areas, Scottsdale, they put me at a lower rank. They look at me kind of crazy. That's still part of my curse. I'm represented in the wrong fashion. I don't even get a chance. I automatically walk in the grocery store in Scottsdale. They looking at me like, my level of ranking is already put down, so that's part of your curse. So wherever you come into or wherever you come out of, you're going to be cursed. Verse 20.
Verse 20. The Most High shall send upon thee cursings, vexation, and rebuke, in all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do, until you be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doing, whereby thou hast forsaken me. The Most High shall make thee pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it.
So the pestilence is the plagues. So the Most High says, and the Most High shall make the plagues cleave unto you. So that's why everywhere this certain group of people go, they got plagues, they got certain things that just always consuming them. They just can't get away from it. And that's what verse 20 is saying. Verse 20 says, the Most High shall send upon thee cursings, vexations, and rebuke, and all that thou settest thy hands unto for to do. So everything you set your hands on and everything you try to do is just going to be all bad. You're going to always have plagues. Everything you do, there's always going to be problems looming right behind you. Verse 22.
Verse 22. The Most High shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish.
So the Most High says, I'm going to hit you with the consumption and with the fever and inflammation, and with the extreme burning. It's talking about diseases, different things like that. What group of people has hereditary diseases like big time? I know all races are hit with certain diseases, but what's hereditary? Give me a couple of diseases that's hereditary. Diabetes is one of the main ones, right? Parkinson's, high blood pressure, sickle cells, diabetes. It's a hereditary thing. And I'm not talking about like cancer and stuff. That's not hereditary. Those are things that you get over time. What you eat and stuff like that. But I'm talking about things that the whole family has it. You be like, they're your whole family. Yeah, my grandma, my mom, diabetes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Even sickle cells. You be like, you got sickle cells? Yeah, I got 3 cousins that had sickle cells, you know. So it's certain, but the diabetes, as I think of, is one of the main. Lactose intolerant. If you want to go there. I mean, it's hereditary though, right? But but it's like a disease though. But the main one is diabetics. Yeah. Diabetics is a disease that's hereditary. All right. So, but I'm not talking about a disease that you get as you become older off of things that you've done wrong. We're talking about hereditary diseases. And the Most High is talking about curses disease. Curses says, I shall smite you with the consumption of fever, inflammation, and extreme burning. All right. And with mildew. And I shall pursue thee until thee perish, until thee die. So I'm going to pursue you with these diseases until you die. This is the reason why you're going to die. You're going to die from that disease. Okay, that disease is going to help you die. Okay, and when you look at the numbers and the statistics on a lot of our people, when they get older, they die from illnesses and sickness and different things like that, and different things that they just don't even know what's wrong anymore. Verse 23.
Verse 23. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron.
So the heaven shall be brass, and the earth under thee shall be iron. So everything around you is just hardcore. All right, there's no softness around you. There's nothing that's going to save you. Everything's tough.
Ouch.
Verse 24.
Verse 24. And
go ahead.
Verse 24, and the Most High shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed. And the Most High shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
So the Most High says, I shall cause thee to be smitten before the enemies. You're going to be taken down in war. And no matter which way you go, you can go and flee in 7 different ways, and you're still going to get taken down. No matter how you try to get away from these people, thou shalt be removed into all kingdoms of the earth. Let's go to Google. Google blacks in slavery. Go to Google and put blacks in slavery. And I want to say it's the 3rd link down. Google blacks in slavery. And I believe it's the 3rd link down. It should say Facts About the Slave Trade and Slavery by Stephen Mintz. Y'all got that? Blacks in slavery. And it should be the 3rd link down. Okay. So maybe it's the 4th link. Is the 4th link? 1. Go down. 2. 3. It's the 3rd link. Read what does the 3rd link say? Facts About the Slave Trade and Slavery by Gilder Lehrman. Gilder Lehrman. All right, so it's the 4th link down. Gilder Lehrman. Okay, go ahead. Y'all got that? Go ahead, read it.
Says the level of slave exports grew from about 36,000 a year during the early 18th century to almost 80,000 a year during the 1780s. The Angolone region of West Central Africa made up slightly more than half of all Africans sent to the Americas, and a quarter of imports to British North America.
So it says these slaves were getting sent to different regions. They wasn't only just coming to America. Okay, some were going to the British imports of North America. Some was going to. We're going to get to the rest of it. Go ahead.
When the next paragraph says, approximately.
That's right.
Approximately 11,863,000 Africans were shipped across the Atlantic, with a death rate during the Middle Passage reducing this number by 10 to 20%.
So it says this number was reduced. You see that number? Almost 12 million, and the number was reduced. Why? Because so many slaves was jumping off the ships. They wasn't even making it, or they was getting killed before they got on the ship because they was resistant. And then when they got on the ship, you got many of them jumping off the ships, killing themselves because they wasn't trying to come over here. Go ahead.
It says, as a result, between 9.6 and 10.8 million Africans arrived in the Americas. About 500,000 Africans were imported into what is now the U.S. between 1619 and 1807, or about 6% of all Africans forcibly imported into the Americas. About 70% arrived directly from Africa.
So it tells you that only 70% arrived directly from Africa. Why? Because they was bringing them from all different kingdoms. We was already in slavery in all other places, but due to this slave, we're talking about the slave ships. We're not talking about slavery. Don't get it twisted. Slavery was already going on. Syrian king All right, under the Grecians, slavery was already going on big time. We're talking about tonight the slave ship, Deuteronomy 28:68. Who those people were? That's what we're talking about. Okay, and right here it says about 70% that arrived that came to America, the slaves. 70% came directly from Africa. So the other 30% was being imported from other places. All right, but remember, we just left off in Deuteronomy 28:25, where he says, "Where you shall be removed into all kingdoms of the earth." We're talking about the curses. We're talking about the curses here, and he says, "The people that didn't listen to me and due to your curses, I'm going to put you in slavery in all kingdoms." Okay, but when they did the slave trade and started making money off the slave trade, okay, and the exports grew and they making all this money, then they started grabbing the slaves from everywhere and started bringing them to America. Okay, it makes sense. All right, go ahead. Yep, read about 500,000 again.
About 500,000 Africans were imported into what is now the U.S. between 1619 and 1807, or about 6% of all Africans forcibly imported into the Americas. About 70% arrived directly from Africa. Well over 90% of African slaves were imported into the Caribbean and South America.
So it says 90% didn't even come to North America. 90% of the slaves were imported to the Caribbean seas and to South America, Brazil, and those areas. Go ahead. And like I say, this is just the information we're reading tonight. We're not talking about slavery in Syria, what the Bible talks about. We're not talking about slavery under the hand of the Grecians, Alexander the Great. Okay? We're not even talking about the slavery of the Roman Empire all the way 100%, even though we're talking about Britain. Okay? But it's still not going into debt with those kingdoms of slavery. We're just talking about the British slave trade and where they started bringing all the slaves from. And when they started bringing all these slaves from all these different places, they were bringing them on what? The slave ships. Okay? Go ahead. Well over 90%.
Says well over 90% of African slaves were imported into the Caribbean and the South America. Only about 6% of imports went directly to British North America. Yet by 1825, the U.S. had a quarter of blacks in the New World. The majority of African slaves were brought to British North America between 1720 and 1780. Average date of arrival for whites is 1890.
So it tells you that the slaves were here before Edom really got here. They had to get the slaves in place to get this machine rolling, to get the crops growing, to get everything going, get the buildings built. Like we all know, the slaves built the White House. So they had to get all this stuff done before Edom actually started arriving. Okay? Edom wasn't just, you had some of them here, but Edom, when they came here, that's one of the reasons we brought them here, because they can have slaves. They can come here through the slave trade and buy a couple of slaves and bring them to their land, and they will work for them. And they didn't have to pay them. That was the beauty of their game. The beauty of their game is, come put a little of your money, buy some slaves, and now they work for free. And then the slave master would benefit off of the slavery that they did in the vineyards. Go back to Deuteronomy 28 and 26. So when it says in 25, then y'all shall be removed into all kingdoms of the earth. These slaves were in different kingdoms. And then when the slave trade said, they said, go gather them all and bring them to the New World so they can build the New World. All right, and not only the New World, take them into South America, take them into the islands, get the islands right, take them into Brazil. They was in all these places slaving, getting all that crop going really good, getting all the buildings and the land going so these people can survive and live and make money. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 26, and it reads, And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the air, and no man shall fray them away.
So it says, "In your carcass shall be meat unto the fowls of the air and all the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray the fowls or the birds or the beasts away from your carcass." Who did this happen to? When blacks were hung, did anybody go take them off that tree? No. If somebody in slavery did something wrong in America and they was hung on a tree, nobody went and took that body down from the tree. That body would rotten on that tree for weeks, and the birds and the fowls of the air would come eat that body off that rope, basically. And once it falls to the ground, who gonna come devour it? The lions, the everything else that's out there. Okay? So this is what it means when it says, "And thy carcass shall be meat unto the fowls." Your bodies, once they kill you, will be meat unto the fowls. They didn't have no funerals for the slaves. They weren't having no funerals for these people. They let the fowls and the beasts of the air come fray you, come eat you away. Verse 27.
Verse 27. The Most High will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the emerald, and with the scab, and with the itch, whereof that thou canst not be healed.
So your itch will not be healed. All right. That botch of Edom, the botch of Egypt, is like an infection. It's almost like you have ulcers. You have a problem, and it will never be healed. You're always sick. Okay. So when the slaves got sick, did they send them to the doctors? No. This is part of the curse. This is part of the curse. When they got sick, you had to deal with it. Okay. And now we get to the meat and potatoes. This is where the diabetes and stuff came from. Because now the people that were in slavery, they wouldn't get no good treatment. Nobody was treating their illnesses. All right. So over generations, time to time, through that bloodline, it just trickled down through generation to generation. And now the people that we see today, they are suffering through these curses. Go ahead. Verse 28.
We're in verse 28, and it reads, "The Most High shall smite thee with madness, and blindness, and astonishment of heart."
Now this is the one I like. "And the Most High shall smite thee with madness and blindness, and astonishment of the heart." Who's blind don't get it. Like John Boy say, who's playing Tetris with their life? Who's always trying to fit in? John Boy said they too busy trying to play Tetris instead of rising up as a people. They too busy trying to fit in. Who's playing Tetris? Break down the word astonishment.
We have astonishment, and it is H8541. Astonishment is H8541. And we have Tamawa. Is that an N? Tawaman.
That's Ma. Then Ha.
Awan. Tamahawa.
Hamahawa.
Yeah. Tamahawa. And we have consternation, astonishment.
All right. Give them the Webster for astonishment.
We have astonishment, and it says confusion of mind from fear.
Say it again.
Confusion of mind from fear.
That's why this is one of my favorite ones. Verse 28 says, "And the Most High shall smite thee with madness, blindness, and astonishment of the heart." Confusion of the mind. Okay? So it says these people will be confused in the mind. And why are they confused in the mind? Because they're confused from fear. The fear that they went through, they're confused now. The fear scared them into a place to where they don't even want to know the truth. They don't even want to ask a question. They've been scared into a state to where they don't even want to ask a question about who they are or how they got here because of the fear. So now They're confused in the mind. I'm in a confused state. I don't know who I am because Master has scared me so tough. You remember when they showed Roots, they showed you that they confused these people with fear. Toby got beat, right? And the Master says, I'm going to beat you until you call yourself what? Toby. So Kunta got beaten to it. He like, your name is Toby. He's like, no. And he feared him with the whip, feared him with the whip, feared him with the whip until he finally confused his mind to where he finally says, my name is Toby. And that's what they did to the people. They whipped them so tough and they worked them so tough to where your mind became so confused off of the fear. Hosea 4:6. So astonishment. He says, I'm going to curse you with madness, blindness, and astonishment of the heart. Your heart, your spirit. We all know the word heart is referring to what? Your spirit. So you're going to have the confusion of the spirit. Your spirit don't understand who you are, or what's going on, or what the real truth is no more because of your fear. Due to fear of slavery, they took it all away from you. You don't even want to know no more. Go ahead. And that's why I always say, like our elders, our people, they were scared to ask Master the truth, especially when they was set free. What does a slave look like turning around and asking the Master, hey, teach me the truth, I want to know? No, they were just happy to be out of slavery. Verse 6, Hosea 4:6.
We're in the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6, and it reads, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, I will also forget thy children. So the Most High says, my people. These are the people that we're reading of in Deuteronomy 28, the people that was on them ships, the people that fit these curses, since people want to argue with you and tell you, oh, well, everybody fit those curses. No, they don't. So it's a group of people who fit these curses. It says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Why? Because thou hast rejected knowledge. Why do our people reject knowledge? Because of the fear that was installed in them. Fear was installed in them, so when you try to go to them and give them the knowledge now and give them the truth, they be like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to go off of what Master told me. They still scared of Master. Even though they pay their own bills and their own rent, they live in their own house, overall, they are still scared of Master. So when now the younger generation, which is us, is coming into them and trying to give them the real knowledge, no. Like tomorrow, you go to your mom, you go to your grandma and say, you know the ships that brought the slaves over here was called the Jesus of Lubeck? They be like, what? Yeah. Jesus of Lubeck was the name of the slave ship. Nah, I don't want to hear that. Master told me Jesus was the right person to follow. Yeah, Master was the one controlling the slave ship. Hosea 4:12. We're in the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 12, and it reads, my people ask counsel at their stocks, and their staff declareth unto them, for the spirit of whoredom have caused them to err. So it says that my people ask for counsel at their stocks. Their stocks is the slaves. Okay, read that whole thing again. I'm gonna show y'all something. Read that again. We in Hosea chapter 4 verse 12. It says, my people ask counsel at their stock, and their staff declared unto them, the spirit of whoredom have caused them to err. They have gone a whoring from under their power. Okay, so I talk about this all the time, but some people might not know this. But it says, my people ask counsel at their stock, and the staff declared unto them, for the spirit of whoredom had caused them to err. So the staff right here that is talking about Master. My people asked counsel at their stock. Their stock was bondage, slavery. That's the stock. The stock is bondage. The stock is slavery. So when he says, when my people were in slavery, they asked for counsel
from the staff, which is master. And master gave them the spirit of whoredom, which caused them to err. And they have gone a horn from under their God, which is a height. Why? Because they're following Jesus through the spirit of whoredom. The staff gave them the spirit of whoredom to follow. So when they asked for counsel, the staff gave them the spirit of Jesus and told them this is what you should do. All right? When they started the stock market in America, what was the first thing on the list? Slaves. Negroes. Negroes for sale was the first thing on the stock market. People don't understand that. That's where the stock market, that's how it started here in America. The first thing up for sale was Negroes for sale. That's where the stock market was originated at. That's where it came from. It's generated right there. Deuteronomy 28:29. Let's get back to it. We got 10 minutes. Let's get through the rest of this. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 29, and it reads, And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness. And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore. And no man shall save.
No man shall save you from the ways that you shall not prosper. You will not prosper. You will always be cursed. What's cursed? Debase. Curse is debase, defame, debase. You are going to be at a lower estate. And he says you're always going to be at the lower estate. You will never prosper from that way. And no man's going to save you from that. Who's at that state? Who's always doing bad, no matter what? From generation to generation. The grandma did bad. Then the mom and then the kids that the grandma had. The grandma had 10 kids and maybe 1 or 2 did good and the rest of them doing bad. They still live in the same neighborhood. And then those kids, they had kids and those kids are doing bad. Now the grandchildren are doing bad. And then there's great-grandchildren that come in and then they doing bad. It's just like a cycle. And you're like, man, what is this? Is anybody ever going to grow in this family and get us about this? But he says, and thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind man gropeth in darkness. Break down the word grope in the Webster.
We have grope in the Webster. It is to feel along, to search or attempt to find in the dark.
Read it again.
To feel along, to search or attempt to find in the darkness, in the dark, or as a blind person by feeling.
So grope means you're like a blind person groping the wall trying to find your way. What group of people has been cursed like this to where they're always trying to find their way? They look lost. They're always they're groping in the noonday. So during the day, so in the daytime they're groping, still trying to find their way. They lost. So he says, and thou shalt grope at noonday as a blind gropeth in the dark. And when you're groping, trying to find that way, thou shalt never prosper in thy way. So as you're groping, you're never going to find that way. It's always going to be like darkness, like a blind man. It's always going to be no light at the end of the tunnel for you. Verse 30.
Verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. And thou shalt plant a vineyard, and thou shalt not gather the grapes thereof.
Thou shalt plant a vineyard. So who worked in the field, planted the vineyard, and didn't see no benefits from it? That's what that just says. Thou shalt plant a vineyard and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. So you doing all the hard work and you ain't see nothing from it, no benefits. Who built houses and didn't live in them? Okay, and didn't get nothing out of it. And thou shalt betroth a wife. Betroth a wife means you shall be engaged to a wife and another man shall lie with her. That's what we have nowadays, and it's big, you know what I'm saying? They did that back in the day too. In slavery, where they would just come right in and take a man's wife from him. Just take her. And there wasn't nothing he can do. But nowadays, they're not even taking our wives. Our wives, they got the system set up to where they leave us. You have a kid with a lady. Once you have sex with a lady, that's your wife. And then you look up 5 years later and your wife is sleeping with another man, having babies with him. So now another man is laying with your wife. So that's part of your curses. Who has that bad? That's bad in a certain community. I'm not, listen, when you look in America, you can see the households that have a dad and a mom, and then you can see the households that don't have a dad and a mom because the dad is no longer there. Who's fitting these curses? Verse 32, no, verse 31.
We in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 31, and it read, Thine ox shall be slain before thine ox, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored unto thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt not have none to rescue them. Thy sons and thy daughters shall give unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand.
So that's still going on today. But back then it says you will have sons and daughters. They will come take them from you and give them to other people. Your kids, they will come take them from you and give them up for adoption, and other people will come buy your kids, and they long gone. And ain't that what we got today? CPS coming in and taking people's kids. I'm like, are you for real? You just came and took my kid from me? Like, and now you're trying to put them in homes and stuff. Okay, that's just as bad as, hey, I had a wife, we had a kid, and now you set up a system to where now she's sleeping with another man. Now you coming in and taking my kids from me? The moment I do something that you don't like, you come and take my kid and then put him up for adoption? Verse 33.
One of the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 33, and it reads, The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed all way.
So it says, you shall be oppressed and crushed all way. Oppressed means violated due to violence. Okay? Oppressed means you have been violated due to violence, done wrong. All right? Verse 34.
Verse 34. So that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see.
Sight in thy eyes which thou, so thou shalt be mad for the sight of thy eyes which thou shalt see. You're mad at everything you see. Life is hard. Everything you do, everything you see, man, I'm through with that. This is what this the people that this is talking about, that's cursed. This is what they do. Everything they see, everything's so hard, nothing looks good in the sight of them. Everything's wrong. Verse 35.
Verse 35. Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 35, and it reads, The Most High shall smite thee in the knees and in the leg with a sore botch that cannot be hid, from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. And the Most High shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shall serve other gods, wood and stone.
So he says, and the Most High shall set over thee and bring you to another nation, neither have your fathers, neither thou nor your fathers have known, and you shall serve other gods, which is wood and stone. And remember, Hawkins, the captain of the ship, okay, and his cousin Sir Francis Drake, what did it say they was doing every day on the ship of Jesus? Twice a day, they were worshiping their religion. All right, and their religion was under Jesus, which we all know as the Christian religion. And the Most High says right here, you're going to be taken into another land, and you're going to be serving other gods, which is wood and stone. And when you break down the wood equals what? Christianity. That's clear as day, you guys. Verse 37.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 37, and it reads, And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither the Most High shall lead thee.
A byword just means a gib, which is like a ton. Gib means like contemptuous words, someone that's taunting you. All right. So it says, so you shall be a byword, which is niggers, monkeys, different names that you were being called. This is what they call you. Okay? Those are bywords. Verse 38.
Verse 38, Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 38. Thou shalt carry much seed into the field, and shalt gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it.
That's getting nothing for your labor. So you shall carry much seed to the field, but you're not going to get much from it. There's not going to be much from your work. Verse 39.
Verse 39. Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shalt neither drink of the wine, nor gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them. Thou shalt have olive trees throughout all thy coasts, but thou shalt not anoint thyself with the oil, for thine olive shall cast his fruit. Thou shalt begot sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
So it says you should. So not only will you have sons and daughters that they'll come and send off for adoptions, but now you're going to have sons and daughters that's going to be put right into captivity like you. They're going to be put right into work just like you, and you will not enjoy it. The moment your kid gets 3-4 years old, the moment they can walk and carry something, they're going into captivity. Verse 42.
Verse 42. All the trees of thy fruit of thy land shall the locust consume. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low.
Who is a stranger? So it says, so when you're brought into this land, the stranger that's in that land, he's going to be set above thee very high. He's going to be over you, and you're going to be brought down very low. Why? Because the curses are fitting you. The curses are fitting you, and very low means you're debased. Verse 44.
Verse 44, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 44, and it reads, He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
So today, in this day and age, who does the lending? When you need to borrow some money from the bank or something, who's in charge of that? Who's lending the money? Okay? Who's lending the money to the people? Point blank. Alright? And then if you try to turn that scenario around and lend to them, they're going to be like, oh, we don't need your money. Better take that back. Okay? We the ones that set the interest rates around this camp. Don't you try to come in and do what we do. Verse 45.
Verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee.
So you guys, we'll stop right there, and we'll pick right back up on Deuteronomy 28 and 46 next week. But I hope whoever hears this, they now can put some of this together and say, okay, you know what? Just like tonight, go do some research on your own, like the adoption rate. Go put that number in. Go put that number in for the adoption rate and see what race of kid is the first and is the most adopted kid. Okay? Due to these curses, it'll tell you right here who it is. Okay? Due to these curses, who's at a low estate? Due to these curses, who's always trying to find their way? It's just never getting better. They like groping like a blind man in noonday trying to find their way. Alright? Due to these curses, who's getting called bywords no matter what, where they go? They just getting talked about. They can't do nothing right. Alright? Due to these curses, who fits these slave ships that we were speaking of? Okay? So when you start putting it all together, you say, well, man, that boils down to a certain group of people. A few? Not even a certain, a few? So then you can't continue to be ignorant to what the world has taught us, which is our counselors at the staff in Hosea 4 and 12. You can't continue to be ignorant at what they declared unto us. They declared unto us the spirit of order. But the overall purpose tonight on what I really wanted y'all to see was the name of that slave ship that started the British slave trade.
Wow.
So now you got more ammo to hit the Christian religion in the mouth on where it came from and who originated it. And now it makes sense on why the so-called blacks, which is Judah here in America, are so gun-ho on that religion. And that's why when you talk to your elders and you try to really talk to them about it, they don't want to hear it. They listen. They are Christians to the bone. And you can't talk them out of it. You can't even show them nothing. They defend it with all their might. Because the ancestors that was brought over here on them slave ships, it was beaten to their heads on that. That's what the religious was. Okay? So with that in mind, we'll say all praises to the Most High Higher. And we'll say Shabbat Shalom. And we'll go ahead and pray it out, and we'll open it up for any questions, or if anybody else want to comment on what we talked about tonight. So if anybody else have any information they would like to bring, that's what the opening up of the session is at the end, is if you want to add on to it and say, hey, I found this, or hey, I knew this, to just kind of elaborate on what we spoke on. So let's pray out.